Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Day Chats and welcome to our very first actual recorded episode if you're watching on YouTube. And welcome to 2022, you guys. We made it. We are here in a new year and boy, do we have so much to discuss. So I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit shy. This is the first time that I record a video in such a long time. If you were subscribed to me on YouTube before the podcast, and you know that I have filmed a couple of videos in the past before, but this is the first time that I filmed like an actual episode. So I feel kind of shy, you guys. I'm like a little bit nervous, but I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please let me know if you would like more of these recorded videos where you can actually see me, or, you know, if you're watching it, or if you prefer just having the background. And for those of you who are simply listening, well, thank you so much for joining back in. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about it because it is a new year and we are ready to just take on this year and see what it has in store for us and tackle it head on. So this episode, I really wanted to take a look back at how our 2021 went. And I feel like I did a lot of growing, a lot of learning, a lot of unlearning. And I feel like for the most part, my 2021 was actually pretty good. And it didn't really hit me how great it actually was and how blessed I was until last night. Last night I went to go take my mom to get her hair done. It was near the mall. So I was at the mall. I had a smoothie. And while I was there, I was like, oh, you know what? Let me make a little montage video of my Invisalign journey because I actually started my Invisalign journey last year in 2021 and I thought I started in March. Turns out I started in February. So I'm looking back through all of my pictures throughout 2021 so I can find pictures of my teeth so I could see how far my teeth have come. And I started looking at all these pictures, especially on Snapchat because I take all my pictures on Snapchat. I'm looking through April and May, June, July, August, September, October, November. I'm looking at all these months and seeing all these amazing memories that I made in these months, all the wonderful trips I took this past year in 2021 and reliving these memories that I had. And I just in that moment felt so blessed to have been able to do all of the things I was able to do and look at all the times that I felt even sad or was crying or, you know, felt that I just like couldn't fathom, you know, going through all these emotions all at once. And I look back and I'm just so proud of myself for pushing myself to grow and learn, whether it's on a personal level or on an emotional level. You know, I really pushed myself this year. I know traveling doesn't seem like it's something that, you know, you would push yourself for. But for me, I have been, you know, I wouldn't say sheltered, but my parents were really strict and they never, especially my dad, like would never let me go places like faraway places. Like even after I was 21 for my cousin's bachelorette party, like we did it in San Diego because he didn't want me going to Vegas. And so little things like that, I was always scared to do things that I felt that my parents would disapprove of. And so when I turned 24, that was the first time that I said, you know what? I've never been to Vegas after I turned 21. You know, like I was never in Vegas at the age of 21 or older. So I figured, you know what? I love my parents, but I need to start making decisions for me without that fear that my parents are going to approve or disapprove of my decisions. So I just said, hey, I'm going to Vegas. It is what it is. And to my surprise, I mean, obviously they were a little bit shocked, but they didn't say anything. So I went to Vegas for the first time with my friends and it was such a fun time. I got my first tattoo, which my parents still don't know about. I'll insert a picture of it right here if you guys want to see it. For those of you watching and for those of you listening, it is a lotus flower. It's actually a matching tattoo with two of my other friends. So that's really cute and exciting. I love it. I think a lotus flower is absolutely beautiful and it has such a beautiful meaning for me. So I'm really happy that I got it. And then after that, I went to Rosarito for the second time ever. And I went with my friends for the first time. The very first time I've ever been to Rosarito, I went with a guy, one of my exes. So it was really nice to go with my friends, and it had I had the best time of my life. And then I got a promotion in 2021, which is the job that I have now. I was able to go to New Orleans in July. And then in August, it was my parents' wedding. In September, I had so many fun trips with my friends here locally. In November, I went to Seattle to visit one of my best friends. And obviously December and in the beginning of the new year, it's like all the holiday season and all the fun stuff. So overall, it's been such a good year of doing just things that are so out of my comfort zone and so out of my ordinary actions. On a more materialistic manner, I bought my first ever designer bag, which for some people that doesn't mean anything, but to me, it was so empowering to be able to purchase my own designer bag. It just felt like I made it, all my hard work is paying off and all of the work that I'm putting in is going somewhere. For me, spending my money going on trips and spending it on purses and things like that are things that are tangible for me in my personal opinion, and show me and something that I can see every day. This is what I'm working towards. This is where I put my money in. And, to each their own. Everyone can spend their money how they see fit. Obviously, these are not purchases that I made all the time, but I was able to buy my very first designer bag, which I'm super, super excited about. I worked really hard for it and I saved up a lot of money for it. So I'm really, really proud of myself for that. And for, being able to give myself the luxuries that I've always wanted. And, that comes with privilege. And I recognize that. I live at home with my parents. I have a good relationship with my parents, so I don't pay much in, rent and things like that. So a lot of the money that I have is because of that privilege. So it doesn't go unnoticed and it doesn't go without being, fortunate. But at the same time, I do want to recognize that, my hard efforts, my hard work and efforts are being, reaped. I'm reaping the benefits of my hard work. And I'm just really so proud of myself to see how far I've grown. I took on a job that I had absolutely zero experience in. And I learned it in a matter of months and became, not to toot my own horn, but really like an expert, a beginner level expert, I would say, in my field. I am the go-to person for my job. And I'm excelling really well. I get really positive feedback. I'm learning to network with other people. I'm working with directors and I'm really just moving up in my company, and I'm only 24. So, I started working there when I was 22 and I was a part-time employee. So 2021 was such a monumental year for me, and I'm so thankful and grateful for all of the amazing memories that I've made, and also for all the moments that weren't always great. And I talked about it on this podcast, all the things that happened this year. I had so many emotional breakdowns this year. I lost some friendships this year. I lashed out on people this year. I lost control of things this year. I felt like I was so broken this year in 2021. And with all of those good things that I noted, that doesn't take away all of the things that happened that may not have been amazing in 2021. And for me personally, I tend to be more of like a glass half full person. So I will always choose to look at the good things that came from that year. But I'm also learning to recognize all of the things that happened that weren't always the best, because I tend to be, yes, a glass half full person, but also the type of person that will disregard the negative things that happen just because there are good things. And that could be a good a good trait. But at the same time, if I'm constantly dismissing all of the negative things or things that make me feel a certain way that aren't positive, then I'm never truly growing from it. And so that is something that I, took into consideration in 2021, and I started talking about it more. I took a personal growth class that challenged me, that made me and forced me to talk about my feelings. I went back to therapy, which I told you guys, I talked a lot about my therapy experience. And this year was just a year where I really took it, by by the head and, try to make it my own. I feel like I grew so much. And as I talked about in a few episodes, we learned about what our love languages were, and we learned about what we wanted in a relationship and what we didn't want. And I learned how to grow my own self-confidence. And while it's not where I want it to be, I can confidently say that I am so much more happier in my own skin and much more confident in who I am, and not only as a person, but who I am, what I look like, and where I stand and what my position is in this world. I've become much more confident in myself and my abilities in my professional life, in my personal life, and I've become more closer to my spiritual beliefs. I've realized that I'm not religious at all. I do believe in God and I do believe in a higher power, but I don't believe in religion. And that's a conversation for another day, but I'm becoming more confident and more comfortable with that and where that leaves me, and it feels good to feel like I'm slowly finding my own way, even if it's not always the easiest thing, even if there are so many bad things that go along with it. No matter what, I feel like I'm slowly finding my own way, and I feel like I'm constantly learning. And that is what I want to continue this new year in 2022. I want us to grow together, to heal together. I think that is the biggest key that I want to continue this year. It's something that I said quite a few times in this past year, that we're going to heal together. And I want to continue that. I want to continue that momentum that we, me and you guys listening, we are going to heal together wherever we are in our healing journey. We're going to work on it together because it takes a village. And I know they usually say that about kids, but it takes a village to just, grow. And it takes a village to just be whole, in my opinion. Like, we need a support system, and sometimes, we may not feel like we have one. So I want our Day Chats community to be that support system for each other, where we can feel that we can talk about these things and we can feel like we can discuss openly without feeling like we're going to be judged. And that's the community that I want to keep fostering for 2022. I would say that would be one of my biggest resolutions. And so with that said, now that we have recapped what our 2021 year was like, let's talk a little bit about what our 2022 has in store for us, or what we would hope. So in 2022, I want to continue healing my relationship with my body and my feelings and my mind, and just overall have a good balance of me as a whole. I want to continue healing my relationship with food. I feel like that has been something that I struggled with, and I never really recognized that or realized that up until I started my self-love journey. I realized how much of a negative relationship with food I've had, which is something that we can discuss more in the later episodes. But overall, in the past couple months, I feel like it's gotten better. And that's something that I want to continue working on this year, because, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I feel the most confident in myself at all points. And I don't ever want to make myself feel like I am not good enough, and I don't want other people to make me feel like I'm not good enough. So that is definitely one big aspect that I want to continue working on and healing on. And then another big thing that I want to work on is something that I don't think I've ever discussed, but if you have listened to my episodes in the past, then you'll start to put two and two together, because I started putting two and two together. To make this a long story short, because I will talk about it in future episodes. My professor, who was my professor for my personal growth class, who was a therapist, came to me and told me that based on everything that I've said for the semester and that one particular story that I shared that day, that I am a textbook case of a codependent and that I need to look more into it and heal it. So she left it at that, didn't give me any more guidance, didn't tell me anything more. So I did what any person would do and Google it. What is a codependent? What does that mean? What are we working with? And after doing a basic level, research, I was able to resonate with a lot of the things that they were pointing out. And so at that point, I figured, okay, if I'm able to resonate with 9 out of the 10, factors that make someone a codependent, then maybe, just maybe, it's worth looking into and learning about to see if there's something in me that may be codependent. And lo and behold, absolutely, that is the case. So I did what any person would do when they're trying to heal and order a bunch of books. And so that is currently what I'm working on. If you saw my Instagram post, then you'll see the books that I ordered. That is definitely something that I am currently trying to work on, is my codependency issues. Which for me, if you remember any of the past few episodes, my need for control is insane. And a lot of that stems from my codependency. And after doing a little bit of research, let me back up. Okay, this is the part where I'm psychoanalyzing myself, because I feel like the reason why I wasn't able to make as much progress as I expected when it came to my self-growth and personal self-love journey was because now that I know of my codependency issues, because I was never targeting the root. I was targeting maybe a symptom and I was targeting another issue, but never the actual root. So even when I was targeting, the self-love portion of it, and I'm getting that, I'm doing the things that make me feel good and I'm feeling good, there was always something that just would always bring me back and would always make me feel like it wasn't there was something missing, I wasn't done. And I'm not saying I'm searching for the feeling of being done, but I just knew that it just wasn't it. And I didn't know what until I started looking into them. And so this is where I start to think, okay, so could it be, bear with me, okay, let's talk this out loud. Could it be that the reason why, or maybe one of the reasons why I couldn't really feel that I made as much of progress as I expected was because I wasn't targeting the root? Which makes sense, right? Pretty logical. But at that case, once I start, picking apart my codependency issues, what is that gonna bring about? And that is where I'm struggling, because a part of me wants to learn about this and wants to do the work to heal, but another part of me just kind of doesn't, if I'm being totally honest, because I feel like I'm in a good place for the most part. I'm in an okay place and I don't want to mess that up. The thing about healing is that once you start healing and once you start becoming self-aware, when things are fucked up, when shit's not going right. And the thing about being self-aware is that not only do you know, but there is that inkling that and that you have that you need to do something about it. And the thing about me is that I have that inkling, but at the same time, I just don't want to lose what I have right now. I feel like I'm enjoying it and I don't want to let that go. And I guess you can say I'm a little bit, I don't know if I would say scared. I wouldn't say that I'm scared, but I would say that I'm just a little bit apprehensive because I don't know what else is going to come up, what feelings are going to come up. And that's, you all know that is something that I've always struggled with, is my feelings and acknowledging them. And I've made a lot of progress in learning to acknowledge and identify my feelings, but I'm still really struggling with learning how to cope with my feelings and learning how to talk about my feelings. So I feel like if I start working on my codependency issues, it's going to bring up a lot of these feelings. And I just don't know if I'm ready yet. But at the same time, I feel like if I'm having this, see, this is what I'm telling you, we're psychoanalyzing here. Because at the same time, I feel like if I already have this inkling where I want to do this, I know I need to do this, it's because a part of me believes that I am ready to do this. And what better time to do it than now? I know we went on a little bit of a rant there, but that is one of the biggest things that I want to work on this year. I would say those are definitely some of my goals. And if you notice, my goals aren't like, oh, I'm going to do this, very, very specific, which I will. I love making a mood board or a dream board. I made one in 2020 before COVID happened. And, I found it the other day and I looked at it and I'm so grateful that everything I put on that mood board has happened. I made it happen. Not in 2020, but in 2021. And, that just inspired me to do it again this year. And while maybe, maybe it won't happen all in 2022, I'm going to do my best to make it happen. But even if it doesn't, then I'm still putting it out there. I'm still putting out there in the universe that it will happen. And I'm letting it up to God and up to the universe to decide when that will be. I'll do my part to make it happen, but from then on out, I'll let it'll be above me from then. But yeah, I would love to know what your guys' goals and resolutions are for this year, and what are some highlights from 2021, and what are some things that didn't go right in 2021. Like I said, let's talk about the good things that happened, but let's also talk about the things that didn't go right. And you have my whole podcast, every episode that talks about the things that didn't go right. And so I wanted to dedicate this one episode to just talk about the things that did go right, to acknowledge the things that I appreciate and loved about my 2021, because the whole year wasn't the best. And, it was actually a really difficult year for me. But aside from that, I still did what I could to make it the best year possible. And I'm just so proud of myself for how far I've come. And I'm so proud of all of you who have stuck around and have done the work with me, because like I said, we're healing together. And on that note, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming into 2022 with me. And I cannot wait to see what we have in store. I have a bunch of ideas and I'm so excited to be able to execute this. And if you guys like this format of me like talking into the camera, and for those of you listening, if you like this type of more rambly audio where I'm speaking from the heart rather than a script, let me know. Obviously, some episodes do need to be a little bit scripted in the sense where I do need to take notes, because there's a lot that goes into an episode. But, sometimes I do like having these little heart-to-hearts where I just talk into the microphone and into the camera and tell you guys what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. It seems like it's just a good opportunity to feel like we're actually having a conversation. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time. Until then, embrace the day.